Tyler Sokin, a true MVL, he asked us, I believe this was on Twitter, if you could pick just one college team's draft class this year to address the Chiefs' needs, which one would it be? Jordan, I'll let you start us off.
I think I'd go with USC. I mean, they have Amon-Ra St. Brown to fill in at X wide receiver. They have Elijah Vera-Tucker, who he's still not going to be there at 31, but after he kind of had those short arms measured at the pro day, people are thinking he's more of a tackle now. They're kind of giving up on, or more of a guard, sorry. They're giving up on him as a tackle. Frankly, I still think he deserves a shot at tackle. I think he's that good, but he's in that class. Jade Tufele is there. Granted, he's more of I think his ceiling is a defensive tackle. He's a good enough run stuffer to where him and Chris Jones would be pretty crazy. He played a lot of different roles along that USC front. And then they have Talanoa Hufanga, who is a good box safety, a really physical player who I think would be a good fit for Dan Sorensen in a year as a replacement. So I think USC has one of the better draft classes overall in this year's kind of crop of talent.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Connor, I'll let you go ahead and go. Who do you have?
Yeah, I like USC's. I just don't know personally if I think Elijah Vera-Tucker can play tackle, just because I don't know if his feet are also good enough to do it. But my school has a left tackle, Notre Dame. They have Liam Eichenberg, who could definitely step in day one and play left tackle.
Yeah.
Don't have a wide receiver, but I will settle for Tommy Tremble at tight end too, to be the passing weapon that the Chiefs can add. I mean, doing more tight end 2 sets and even 3 tight end sets with Blake Bell. The Chiefs will add another dimension to their offense with Tremble. And then actually Notre Dame has Notre Dame, the Americans say it weird.
tomato.
They have a lot of like interior offensive line depth that they could add, like Aaron Banks, Robert Hainsey. And I think there's one more, but their offensive line was kind of ridiculous all over. And then on the defense, the Chiefs finally add a will linebacker to replace Ben Neiman with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I said it right. People call him JOK, but he's basically a safety linebacker hybrid, which doesn't that sound great in Steve Spagnuolo's defense? Yeah. This man lined up in like the nickel slot cornerback role like half the time in Notre Dame. So he kind of just fits in that mold of like a modern NFL backer. And Notre Dame has 2 defensive ends too that would fit in with the Chiefs, with Dalen Hayes, I believe, and Adi Ogundeji. I asked to the listeners, I asked Tucker and Jordan how to say that name earlier, because I'm obviously struggling with it. But I think Notre Dame would add a lot of players to the Chiefs that they actually do need. And the only thing that would be kind of missing is a wide receiver. But when you add Tommy Tremble, I think it'd be fine.
Right. I like that a lot. I do like Notre Dame as we kind of dove into that Notre Dame class a little bit more. It's like, oh yeah, they do have a linebacker. Oh, Tommy Tremble is there. Oh, they do have a really good offensive lineman. Kind of the same thing with USC. When you start looking at USC, you immediately think, okay, Amon-Ra, they got AVT, and then you're like, oh, they've got all these defensive side guys. Like, that's what I like about USC is that they address a lot of different areas. Another school, obviously, this school is always going to be in the contention for bringing in some NFL players. University of Alabama. They just won the national championship. They're the best team in college football. Not only do you get the best offensive line in the country, literally, they won an award for it. Alex Leatherwood, Deonta Brown, Landon Dickerson, those 3 guys, insanely good. Brown and Dickerson, interior guys. Leatherwood, I think he won the trophy for the best interior lineman, but he's a tackle. So that's kind of confusing. I'm not sure how that happened, but he did. He won it. So the line is really good. Then you move out to the wide receiver. You have 2 of the best receivers in college football out there, and Jalen Waddle, Deonta Smith. He just won the Heisman. You don't have a wide receiver win the Heisman since, what was it, 97? When the dude from, what was his name? Michigan.
Tucker, were we even alive in 1997? I know I wasn't.
I wasn't.
I was.
Yeah, Connor was.
We weren't not to make Connor feel old or anything.
I was 2 years old.
Wow. I was -1 year old. Jordan, you were born in 98 too, weren't you?
I was 99, January of 99.
Oof, almost the 2000s.
Yeah, I barely snuck in at the end of the century. My mom had me in 99 and my brother in mid 2000s, so she always got caught flack that she had babies in 2 different centuries.
Oh, that's a good point. That's kind of cool though. I guess my mom did too. That's kind of wild. But anyway, when it comes to Alabama, you do have all the wide receivers and everything like that, and then you also have Moses, the linebacker, who can really fly around and play on the defensive side of the ball. I didn't really look in their defense all that much. They do have some really solid defensive players out into the draft, but like their offense is just so good coming into the draft and can cover all the Chiefs' offensive holes. You're just like, all right, well that's a solid team to pick.
Yeah, getting Leatherwood and Devonta Smith and Jalen Waddle.
Right.
That's a bit. The offense would be maybe the greatest of all time, but I think
Yeah.
Christian Barmore would be interesting
Right.
too,
Oh,
right next to
yes.
Chris Jones. That would be quite the interior pass rush that the Chiefs could throw out onto the field.
You guys are leaving out possibly CB1 in this year's draft.
Oh,
Patrick
you're
Surtain.
right.
Yeah, I know.
You're right.
Dude is an absolute stud. Like if the Chiefs needed a corner, he would be my draft crush. Obviously, he won't be there when the Chiefs pick. That dude's just insane. And gosh, Alabama, that was a very easy pick by Tucker, but I'm also glad that he picked them so we could just kind of appreciate the immense unit that they just fielded a year ago.
You didn't even say his name, Jordan.
Well, you did, Connor.
Well, I mean, I was maybe the MVLs didn't hear me. Patrick Surtain,
Patrick
Jr.
It's the second because then Asante Samuel Jr.
And J.C. Horn is the son of Joe Horn, the Saints wide receiver.
Yeah.
All the
family.
Yeah, the cornerbacks have a lot of kids of former NFL players. And as the testing and draft process has gone on, it feels like all of them are rising too. In fact, the top of this cornerback class is turning out to be pretty studly. It's looking really good for any team that needs a cornerback in the first round.
Just wait until L'Jarius Sneed II or L'Jarius Sneed Jr. kind of bursts onto the scene in like 20 years for the Chiefs.
It'll be great. It'll be the best thing ever. Yeah, I feel like if I didn't say Alabama, we would have gotten some shellacking. We would have caught some crap on Twitter and YouTube and everywhere we post the podcast. But as a layup kind of an answer. But they had an absolute, as you mentioned, Jordan, an absolute unit of a team last year. There's no, obviously they won the national championship, but how many like first round prospects that they have in this draft?